welcome back. Welcome back. We got an email at 5 o'clock this morning, our time. And it was from Lasse Strømkvist. And he was in the Norway court case. He sent us some information that he would like us to get out there. Now, he says there were 14 of us from abroad and at home who attended the trial. He says, I'm 60 years old. I have a long experience as a former Jehovah's Witness. I was an elder for 12 years and a pioneer for 18 years. I can safely say that I was deeply brainwashed. And the newspaper Dagen interviewed me and asked me what I thought about the trial. I'm including it here in translated English, so he has it here, so that we can share that with you. And he also gave us an inside story on Reddit, and we're gonna take a look at that as okay. So we're gonna get right into this. What do we have here? We'll look at the Dagen, what they put on the newspaper, the local newspaper there, and they interviewed Lasse. Now, here's the headlines for the newspaper that is in Norway. And former elder, brother of Jehovah's Witnesses, Lasse Strømkvist, claims Jehovah's Witnesses are allowed to lie in court. And let's go to the second page of that. It's not all in order here. Just bear with me. There it is. So, former elder, brother of Jehovah's Witnesses, Lasse Strømkvist, claims that the members do not need to release information that could harm the organization, not even in the courtroom. And this is something that is not talked about loudly. It is a subculture within Jehovah's Witnesses, Strømkvist tells Dagen. And he is following the trial in Oslo along with several ex-witnesses. It's frustrating to sit and listen to what I believe is obfuscation. And I knew that was going to come up, so I looked it up again. Obfuscation is the obscuring of the intended meaning of communication by making the message difficult to understand. And isn't that what we've seen in the Norway court system? They're very obscure, usually with confusing and ambiguous language. So that's what it is frustrating when you sit and listen to this stuff. So Lasse left Jehovah's Witnesses last year after being there his entire life. So he just left. And he has been an elder for over 10 years and a so-called pioneer, as it's called, when someone evangelizes more than 90 hours a month. Now, of course, they reduced that to try to get more pioneers. So the third part here is he believes that the focus must be placed on how members of Jehovah's Witnesses behave in court, and refers to the religious community's own publications, including the Watchtower of November 15, 2004. And it says there, the faithful witness does not commit perjury when he gives his testimony. His testimony is not tainted by lies. However, this does not mean that he is obligated to give the full information to those who might wish to harm Jehovah's people in some way. Read in their magazine, Blunt. So the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, withheld facts from someone who did not worship Jehovah. They quote some scriptures. Rahab of Jericho misled king's men. They quote scriptures. Jesus Christ himself refrained from giving full information because it would have caused unnecessary harm. And they quote some scriptures. And then they say, do not give what is holy to dogs, neither throw your pearls before swine. Turn around and rend yourself, Matthew 7 and 6. So this is all from the Watchtower's publications. This is how they brainwash their followers into doing what they say. They use these lame scriptures. These scriptures are not about hiding crimes. These scriptures are not about criminal activity. These scriptures, when you look at them, nothing. It's nothing compared to what they're doing in court. They're going to court and hiding pedophilia, hiding shredding of records, hiding everything. They're very hide and seek type people. They do not give the world, they're not transparent to the world. They do not tell the world where the donated money goes. So even if the state's pumping all this charity status money into the religion, it all goes to Warwick, New York. They fire it all out. They don't help the poor within your country. They don't help the ones that need help. They don't even help the ones within their religion. If you are in trouble in that religion in the Elders Book tells them to send them down to other religions that are helping people, as long as they don't accept their pamphlets, and send them to the food banks, the government-run food banks. As long as these religions are run by the government, they're saying you can send your people there to get help. And this is a type of humanitarian aid that this religion does. It can't even help its own people, or it chooses not to help its own people. We're going to run a video. This religion has 60 billion or 60 trillion. Is it $60 trillion? I forget. We're going to run a video on this to show from Watching Watchtower, and they show how much money this organization really has. It's a lot. Now, let's carry on. Number 4. Strømkvist believes this, and several others reference point to the fact that Jehovah's Witnesses may refrain from saying things that are disadvantageous to the organization. And Jehovah's Witnesses are told that they are in theocratic warfare, or spiritual warfare, with the world. And this warfare includes a strategy that being deceptive or even lying is acceptable in situations where dishonesty furthers the interests of the organization, he says. And then it goes on, and that's it. They call it theocratic warfare, or spiritual warfare. And they're allowed to lie. They're encouraged to lie, not let the truth come out in courts, because the courts are against their religion, right? So then they go on, obey God rather than men. Strømkvist refers to how theocratic warfare is explained in the writings of Jehovah's Witnesses, including the Watchtower of May 1st, 1957. And it's quoted here. It says, today's God's servants are engaged in a warfare. This is right from the Watchtower. They're engaged in a warfare, a spiritual, theocratic warfare, a warfare commanded by God against wicked spirit forces and against false doctrine. God's servants are sent out as sheep among wolves and therefore need to exercise extreme caution towards serpents. So in order to protect the interests of God's kingdom committed to them, they must at all times be very careful not to reveal any information to the enemy that he could use to hinder the preaching work. So that's the training that Jehovah's Witnesses are given. Obey God rather than men. That's right from their May 1st Watchtower, 1957. They reference that still. It's not outdated. And there's a lot of stuff in around that time that a lot of articles we showed on previous videos that they reference. Okay, so we're going to go right over to number 5. And here, Strømkvist believes that the witnesses are referring to a higher authority than the Norwegian law, and that this will have an impact on the trial. This protecting the organization from things that put them in bad light, which can prevent the recruitment of new members, is above everything, even the Religious Communities Act, because one should obey God more than people, he says. And Jehovah's Witnesses spokesman Jorgen Peterson refutes Strømkvist's claims. The Jehovah's Witness religion is known throughout the world for encouraging all church members, this is what Jorgen Peterson says, to behave honestly in all things. And this is a clear biblical requirement for all Christians. Therefore, I strongly reject the unfounded and shocking distortion of our faith, Peterson tells Dagan. So, you see, in those words, my opinion, Jehovah, when I was one for 30 years, we were told to be honest in all things. Pay your taxes, be honest, especially to the elders. They ask you something, they want the truth. So this is more what they're trying to be honest in all things about. But when it comes to the world, their teachings are to keep silent. The Jehovah's Witnesses have lawyers. You're not to talk to anybody out there. You're not to talk to news people, because Jehovah's Witnesses have lawyers that are trained to protect the interests of God's people. So they skirt this. And Jorgen Peterson, he's lying himself. So let's go over to the next article, number 7. Peterson is clear that all witnesses speak honestly and truthfully. Jehovah's Witnesses do their best to follow, among other things, a good example of the Apostle Paul. And he did not flatter the governor to ingratiate himself with him, as Tertullus did. Instead, he was calm and respectful. He thought carefully about what he was going to say and presented the matter in a clear and honest manner, Peterson emphasizes. Yeah, that's what every Jehovah's Witnesses would say. Now, have confidence in the witnesses. Jehovah's Witness lawyer Anders Risdale says he is confident that the witnesses are explaining themselves openly and correctly. So this is from the newspaper. I think that's the last part of it. Oh, there's 8. So all persons, this is Anders Risdale, their lawyer, the Jehovah's Witness lawyer, and all persons who testify in the Norwegian trial are obligated to tell the whole and complete truth. There is a severe penalty for giving false testimony. I have full confidence that both the states and our witnesses will follow this principle in our case, he tells Dagen. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. So far, there's been a lot of lies. So here's another clip that we were given. This is from Reddit, and this is, I think, the inside story. And Lasse put this on Reddit. So this is his words. He was there. He says, I had a liberating experience. This is his first experience in the trial of Jehovah's Witnesses in Norway, in the queue before the doors opened, bring the tower down. And he said he had a liberating experience when I and other XJWs stood in the middle of the queue among 30 to 40 Jehovah's Witnesses and waited expectantly for the doors to the courtroom to open. I thought, here we are in a deadlock situation. No one wants to get out of the queue for fear of not getting a seat in the main courtroom. Now I have the opportunity, I thought, to speak out loud in a conversation with the person who was with me. And I said loudly and expressively and with a determined voice so everyone heard it. He says, did you hear what happened here 2 days ago? As soon as the main doors opened on the first floor, a Jehovah's Witness stormed up and took over all the seats so that none of us XJWs got seats. And they were banished to a room with streaming of the trial. And these people themselves call themselves true Christians? They should be ashamed. Can you imagine? They stormed the courtroom day 1, took all the seats so that the XJWs couldn't get in. And the court's seen this, and they fired them all down to another room that they didn't even have court access. So that's what happened. What a shameful thing. I think that has to be mentioned. Now, I also said out loud, it's really a shame for all these Jehovah's Witnesses who are standing here with us, who are so indoctrinated that they don't even dare to ask critical questions or think for themselves. If they're 100% convinced that they have the truth, why are they afraid to do a little research by going on YouTube or doing a Google search on Jehovah's Witnesses and pedophiles? Think how much fear they have and how controlled they are by the faithful and discreet slave. Many of the Jehovah's Witnesses who are standing there knew me very well. Several of them I have been on elders courses with. Many know me from the time I traveled a lot and gave talks in congregations and at conventions. I was a pioneer for 18 years, and it must have been a shock that I was now officially out of Jehovah's Witnesses. What was really funny was all the distorted facial expressions of embarrassment. They couldn't even leave the queue. They were forced to stand in to hear my demonstration. Then the door to the courtroom opened, and we got a place among Jehovah's Witnesses. Then I continued to speak loudly about many more topics, and this is a day I will never forget. What was also a huge highlight for me was my article in the newspaper, The Dagon, which we covered, under the topic, Jehovah's Witnesses are allowed to lie about theocratic warfare. And that was published in the media right during the trial. And thought that on behalf of all of us XJWs, I would stand up to show that we have nothing to be ashamed of and that we can be proud of ourselves and have woken up from the Jehovah's Witnesses. We have woken up from this cult. Because anytime you're following a group of men, you're in a cult. You're following men. When you have to obey men over the Bible, you're in a cult. So thanks a lot, Lasse. That's an excellent story of what happened. You journalized it. That's great, and it really shows Jehovah's Witnesses how they use this warfare, this theocratic warfare. You see, by storming the courtroom, that's theocratic warfare. So these people have all been cued by Jorgen Peterson. Jorgen Peterson's the one that should really be ashamed of himself, because he's training his people to use theocratic warfare in the courtroom. And unfortunately, this has come right back to slap him in the face by the newspaper. They're being cross-examined by the court for lying in court, and their stories are all out of whack. So stay tuned with the channel, folks, and we'll see what happens next with this case. Our next video is going to be about day 6, and we'll see what happens next. So thanks again, and keep living your life with love. Bye for now.